On May 20th, 2013, a press release shook the tech world. Yahoo, the aging giant of the early internet, announced it was acquiring the blogging platform Tumblr for $1.1 billion in cash. At the time, this was a massive gamble. $1.1 billion was roughly a quarter of Yahoo's entire available cash pile, but the CEO, Marissa was confident. In the official announcement, she made a promise that has now become legendary in the history of bad business predictions. She wrote in all bold text, "We promise not to screw it up." 6 years later, the company was sold again. Not for $1 billion, not for $500 million. It was sold for a reported $3 million. To put that in perspective, that is a 99.7% loss in value. It is arguably the single worst acquisition in the history of the modern web. But the story of Tumblr isn't just about a bad deal. It is a case study on what happens when a corporate boardroom tries to monetize a counterculture anarchy. It is the story of how Yahoo bought the coolest clubhouse on the internet, locked the doors, and set the building on fire. To understand why Yahoo burned $1 billion, we first have to look at the market landscape of 2013. Today, we know who won the social media wars. But in 2012 and 2013, it was still an open fight. Facebook was the utility, Twitter was the news ticker. But Tumblr was the cool kid. It had over 100 million users, and they were distinct. They were young, they were artistic, and most importantly, they were hyperactive. The average Tumblr visit was significantly longer than a visit to Facebook or Twitter. Users weren't just checking notifications, they were living on the dashboard. Yahoo, on the other hand, was dying. It was seen as the internet for your parents. They had news, finance, and sports, but they had zero footprint in social media and zero relevance with anyone under the age of 25. Marissa saw Tumblr not just as a website, but as a fountain of youth. She wasn't paying for the revenue. Tumblr was barely making any money. She was paying for the demographic. The valuation was based on potential energy. Interestingly, just 1 year prior, Facebook had purchased Instagram for $1 billion. Yahoo looked at that deal and thought, Tumblr is our Instagram. They believed that with Yahoo's massive sales team, they could turn those 100 million users into $1 billion ad machine. They were wrong. Because while Instagram was a platform for vanity, Tumblr was a platform for anonymity. And you can't build a targeted ad business when your users are anonymous. Yahoo should have seen this as an early red flag, but the CEO seemed focused on potential revenue versus reality. The moment the check cleared, the culture clash began. Yahoo is a media company. They sell banner ads, sidebar takeovers, and corporate sponsorships. Their clients are Ford, Coca-Cola, and Verizon. These brands want safety. They want their logo to appear next to a nice article about cooking or sports. Tumblr, however, was the Wild West. It was a chaotic mix of high art photography, fan fiction, surrealist memes, and a massive amount of not safe for work content. Yahoo tried to integrate the two. They started injecting sponsored posts into the Tumblr dashboard. But the user base didn't just ignore the ads, they actively revolted against them. The community took pride in being unmonetizable. Behind the scenes, the integration was a disaster. Yahoo merged the sales teams. Suddenly, sales reps who were used to selling premium ad space on Yahoo Finance were trying to sell ads on a blogging site they didn't understand. They promised advertisers native engagement, but they couldn't deliver it because the Tumblr community was hostile to brands. By 2015, the cracks were showing. Yahoo had projected that Tumblr would generate $100 million in revenue that year. They missed that target. Then they missed the next one. The cool factor that Yahoo paid for was evaporating. The site was becoming slower, clunkier, and more corporate. The potential energy Mayer saw was turning into kinetic failure. The time was near to face the inevitable. In finance, there is a term called goodwill impairment. Effectively, it's when a company admits to its shareholders, hey, that thing we bought, it's not worth what we paid for it. In early 2016, Yahoo wrote down the value of Tumblr by $230 million. Later that year, they wrote down another $482 million. Think about that. In less than 3 years, Yahoo admitted to the SEC that 2/3 of the value of their acquisition had just vanished. But the final nail in the coffin wasn't Yahoo, it was Verizon. In 2017, Yahoo itself was acquired by Verizon. Tumblr was now a small, weird asset inside a massive telecommunications conglomerate. If Yahoo didn't understand Tumblr, Verizon definitely didn't understand it. Verizon didn't care about internet culture. They cared about liability. And Tumblr was a liability nightmare. The platform was filled with copyrighted material and adult content that scared Verizon's legal team. The platform was essentially being run on life support. The original team had mostly left. The founder, David Karp, exited in 2017. The soul of the product was gone, leaving only a hollow shell struggling to serve ads to a shrinking audience. Then came December 2018, the moment that actually killed the platform. Earlier that year, the Apple App Store had briefly removed the Tumblr app because unmoderated child safety issues were slipping through the filters. For a mobile-first social network, being kicked off the App Store is a death sentence. Verizon's reaction was scorched earth. Instead of investing in better moderation tools or hiring a massive safety team, they decided to simply ban all adult content entirely. On December 17th, the ban went into effect. From a business risk perspective, this solved Verizon's problem. No adult content meant no issues with Apple, but from a product perspective, it was suicide. Internet historians estimate that roughly 20% to 30% of Tumblr's user base was there primarily for the NSFW communities, or the artistic freedom that allowed it. When the ban hit, traffic didn't just dip, it fell off a cliff. This brings us to the end of the timeline. By 2019, Verizon wanted out. Tumblr was losing money, losing users, and was no longer culturally relevant. They looked for a buyer. In August 2019, the news broke. The blogging platform WordPress, owned by a company called Automattic, agreed to buy Tumblr. The price was undisclosed at the time, but leaked reports confirmed the number: $3 million. Let's run the math on that. Yahoo bought it for $1.1 billion. It sold for $3 million. That is a loss of roughly $500,000 per day, every single day for 6 years. Compare that to Instagram. Facebook bought Instagram for $1 billion, essentially the same price. Today, Instagram generates over $40 billion in revenue per year. Tumblr still exists today. Under WordPress, it has actually stabilized. It's smaller, quieter, and leaner. But it stands as a permanent monument to Silicon Valley arrogance. It proves that users and communities are not the same thing. You can buy a server, you can buy a URL, and you can buy code. But you cannot buy a culture. Yahoo tried to turn a clubhouse into a shopping mall, and in the process, they reminded the entire business world that if you try to monetize anarchy, you end up with nothing.